Carter, I need to tell you something. Logan's voice stopped me before I could turn on the kitchen light. I had just stepped into my twin brother's apartment, keys still in my hand, when I saw him standing by the refrigerator with his back to me. The room was dim except for the light above the stove. He must have heard the door open and assumed Carter had finally come home. Normally, I would have corrected him right away. People had confused us our entire lives. Same height, same dark hair, same face, according to everyone else. But Logan didn't sound normal. His voice was low, tight, like every word had to be forced out. "You okay?" I almost said. Instead, I stayed quiet. He pulled 2 beers from the fridge, set one on the counter, then rubbed the back of his neck. I've been trying not to say this for weeks. My grip tightened around the keys. Logan Reed was one of Carter's friends. Not his closest friend, but close enough that I had seen him at birthdays, Sunday football games, and random nights when Carter invited half the city over without warning. Logan was usually impossible to make nervous. He managed a bar downtown. He dealt with drunk customers, angry vendors, and broken equipment without raising his voice. But right then, he looked like he wanted to climb out the nearest window. "I think something's wrong with me," he muttered. My stomach dropped for no reason I wanted to admit. I should have moved, coughed, done anything. Instead, I stood there listening to a conversation that wasn't mine. Logan stared down at the bottle in his hand. "There's this person I can't stop thinking about." My heart gave one hard, stupid beat. I told myself it meant nothing. Logan knew plenty of people. He could have been talking about anyone. Every time he's around, I start acting weird. He let out a humorless laugh. "And he barely does anything. That's the problem." The word landed differently than it should have. I stopped breathing for a second. Logan had never talked about liking a guy. Not around me. Not around Carter. As far as I knew, he had never talked seriously about liking anyone. "I keep noticing things," he continued. "Little things I shouldn't care about." My chest tightened. The apartment suddenly felt too quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming, cars passing outside, the faint click of the ceiling fan in the living room. Like what? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Logan didn't turn around. He thought I was Carter. Of course he did. I was wearing a black hoodie, and Carter wore the same one all the time. From behind, in that light, there was no reason he would know. "The way he listens," Logan replied after a pause. "Like he's not just waiting for his turn to talk." My pulse started climbing. He does this thing with his sleeves when he's nervous. Pulls them over his hands like he thinks nobody notices. I looked down. My fingers were already hidden inside my cuffs. Nobody noticed that. Not even Carter. Logan picked up the second beer, then set it down again without opening it. And when he laughs for real, he looks away first. Like he's embarrassed someone made him happy. I couldn't move. Hope was a dangerous thing, especially when you had no right to feel it. Maybe Logan was talking about someone from work. Maybe I was connecting dots that weren't there because I wanted them to be. That had to be it. Then he exhaled and closed his eyes. "It's your brother." My keys slipped from my hand and hit the floor. Logan turned. For 1 second, neither of us moved. His gaze went to my face, then my hair, slightly longer than Carter's, then to my bare wrist, where Carter's brown leather bracelet should have been. The color drained from Logan's expression. "Caleb," he whispered. And just like that, I knew the confession had been about me. Logan stared at me like the room had shifted under his feet. "How much did you hear?" My mouth went dry. I looked at the keys on the floor instead of him, like they had suddenly become very important. "Enough." That answer made his jaw tighten. He set the beer down too hard, and the bottle knocked softly against the counter. For a second, neither of us moved. I could hear people talking in the hallway outside the apartment, getting closer, then fading again. Logan dragged a hand over his face. "Caleb, I thought you were Carter. I figured that out. That is not what I meant." He finally looked at me, really looked at me, and the embarrassment in his expression hit harder than I expected. Not because he regretted liking me. At least, I did not think that was it. Because he had been caught saying it out loud. There was a difference. I bent down to grab my keys, mostly because I needed something to do. "You do not have to explain." "I kind of do." Logan stepped closer, then stopped himself. The space between us felt small anyway. I was going to tell him because I needed advice. "That is all, right?" I pushed the keys into my pocket. "And now you accidentally told me instead." "Yeah." His laugh came out short and nervous. Not exactly how I pictured this going. My heart was still pounding, but I forced my shoulders to relax. "You pictured telling me?" The question slipped out too fast. Logan went still. His eyes held mine for 1 second longer than they should have. 2. Then he looked away. Eventually, that one word did something stupid to my chest. I told myself not to read into it. He was flustered. People said things when they were flustered. It did not mean anything. Logan picked up the unopened beer and held it out to me. Here. Our fingers touched around the bottle. It was brief. Barely anything. But neither of us let go right away. His thumb rested against the side of my hand, warm and steady, while my pulse jumped like I had been caught doing something wrong. Logan noticed. Of course he did. His gaze dropped to our hands, then came back to my face. The corner of his mouth moved, not quite a smile. You always get this nervous around me? I let go of the bottle too quickly. I am not nervous. Sure, I am not. Caleb. The way he said my name was quieter this time. Careful, like he was testing how it felt. My stomach tightened. Before I could answer, the front door opened and Carter's voice filled the apartment. Why is it so dark in here? Logan stepped back immediately. The distance felt colder than it should have. Carter walked into the kitchen carrying a paper bag, glanced between us, then frowned. Did I miss something? No, I said too quickly. Logan reached for his beer. Nothing. Carter looked unconvinced, but he started unpacking food anyway. For the next 10 minutes, Logan acted normal. Too normal. He joked with Carter, checked his phone, asked me if I wanted fries like nothing had happened. I played along because I did not know what else to do. But when I reached for a napkin, Logan's hand brushed mine under the edge of the counter. This time, he did not pull away first. And when I looked up, he was already watching me. By the time Carter's friends started arriving, Logan had become very good at pretending I was not in the room. He laughed at the right moments, opened beers, argued with Marcus about basketball. He even moved past me twice without looking up. It should have made things easier. Instead, every time he ignored me, my chest tightened a little more. Maybe the kitchen had been a mistake. Maybe once the shock wore off, he realized he had said too much. That made sense. It was the explanation I kept choosing because the other one was harder to survive. Carter dropped onto the couch beside me and handed me a plate of pizza. Why are you being weird? I am eating. You are holding the slice upside down. I looked down. Cheese had already slid onto the plate. Carter laughed loud enough for everyone to notice. This is why Mom labeled your baby pictures. Marcus glanced between us. I still cannot tell you two apart. From across the room, Logan finally looked at me. I can. The words came out quiet, but the room had gone still enough for me to hear them. Marcus grinned. Oh, really? What is the trick? Logan's eyes stayed on mine. Not my hair. Not my clothes. Me. Caleb looks at the floor when he is trying not to react. My stomach dropped. Carter turned toward me, immediately amused. He does. I forced a laugh and took a bite of pizza just to keep my mouth busy. Logan looked away first. A few minutes later, Carter sent me to grab more cups from the pantry. I was reaching for the top shelf when the door shifted behind me. Logan stepped inside and pulled it almost closed, blocking the noise from the living room. The pantry was barely wide enough for both of us. Shelves pressed against my shoulder. Logan stood less than a foot away. What are you doing? My voice came out lower than I meant it to. Trying to talk to you. You have been avoiding me for an hour. His jaw flexed. Because Carter is 10 feet away. So, I do not know what you want me to do. I do not want anything. The lies sounded weak even to me. Logan glanced at my hands. My sleeves were pulled over my fingers again. He reached out before I could stop him and gently tugged one cuff down. His fingertips brushed my wrist. You do that when you are upset, too. I forgot how to breathe for a second. You told me to forget what happened. I told you I should not have said it like that. His hand stayed around my wrist, loose enough that I could pull away. I did not. That is not the same thing. Footsteps passed outside the pantry. We both went still. Logan's thumb moved once against my skin, barely there, but enough to send my pulse racing under his hand. His eyes dropped to where he was touching me, then back to my face. I meant what I said, Caleb. Carter called my name from the living room. Logan let go immediately and opened the door. I stood there holding a stack of plastic cups, trying to convince myself my entire body had not just reacted to 4 quiet words. For the rest of the night, I could still feel Logan's thumb against my wrist. It was ridiculous. A 2-second touch should not have followed me home, kept me awake, or made me check my phone every 10 minutes the next morning. But it did. Logan did not text. By Monday, I had almost convinced myself the pantry conversation had only felt important because we were standing too close. Then Carter called and asked me to help design posters for a charity event at Logan's bar. I should have said no. Instead, I showed up Tuesday afternoon with my laptop and enough coffee to pretend I was there for work. Logan was behind the counter checking inventory. He looked up when I walked in, and his attention stayed on me just long enough to make my pulse stumble. "Hey, Caleb." No hesitation. No wrong name. "Hey." We worked at a small table near the back while Carter made phone calls outside. At first, everything felt almost normal. Logan complained about my font choices. I told him his idea looked like a flyer for a high school car wash. He laughed and leaned over my shoulder to point at the screen. His chest brushed my back. Neither of us moved. "That color is terrible," he murmured. "You are breathing on my neck." The words escaped before I could soften them. Logan went still. "Is that bothering you?" I turned my head. "Bad decision." His face was close enough that I could see the faint line between his eyebrows. Close enough that his eyes dropped to my mouth before returning to mine. I did not say that. The room seemed to quiet around us. Logan rested one hand on the table beside mine, trapping nothing, but making it hard to think about leaving. "Then what are you saying?" I should have made a joke. I should have looked back at the laptop. Instead, I held his gaze. "I do not know what you want from me." Something shifted in his expression. The teasing disappeared. I want to stop pretending that night did not happen. My heart started pounding. That is not an answer. It is the only one I have right now. He moved closer, slowly enough that I could have leaned away. I did not. His fingers brushed mine on the table. Once. Then again, more deliberate this time. "Caleb," he whispered. I could feel his breath. For 1 second, I thought he was going to kiss me. Worse, I knew I would let him. Then the front door opened. Carter's voice cut through the room. "Why does it look like nobody is working?" Logan stepped back so fast his hip hit the table. My coffee shook beside the laptop. Carter walked toward us, looking between our faces. "What did I interrupt?" "Nothing," Logan answered. I stared at the screen, unable to trust my voice. Carter narrowed his eyes, but his phone rang again before he could push. He turned away, muttering about vendors. Logan picked up my coffee before it could spill and set it safely near my elbow. His fingers brushed mine one last time. "For the record," he said quietly, "I was not going to stop." After Carter interrupted us, Logan changed. Not completely. That would have been easier. He still brought me coffee without asking. Still leaned over my laptop when he wanted to argue about the layout. Still looked at me like he was about to say something and then decided against it. But every time Carter came near, Logan stepped back. By Friday, I was tired of pretending I did not notice. The charity event started at 7. The bar was already crowded by 6:30, full of folding tables, donated gift baskets, and people asking questions nobody had warned me about. Carter moved through the room like he owned it. Logan worked behind the counter, calm on the surface, but I caught him watching me whenever he thought I was distracted. Then Dylan showed up with 2 cameras hanging from his shoulders and a smile that made it obvious he had never been nervous in his life. "You are Caleb, right?" He looked at my name tag, then at my face. "The designer." "That depends. Do you like the posters?" I was going to say yes even if I did not. I laughed before I could stop myself. Across the room, Logan set a glass down harder than necessary. Dylan noticed. His eyebrows lifted, but he kept talking. He was easy to be around. Too easy. He asked about my work, remembered my answer, and did not seem confused by which twin I was. That should not have mattered. It did. Later, while people crowded around the silent auction table, Dylan placed a hand lightly against my back to guide me out of a server's path. The touch lasted maybe 1 second. Logan appeared beside us almost immediately. "Caleb, I need you in the storage room." I blinked. "For what?" "The extra signs." Dylan glanced between us, clearly amused. "I can help. We have it." Logan's voice stayed polite, but only technically. I followed him through the staff door before the situation got stranger. The storage room was narrow and cold, stacked with boxes and cases of soda. Logan shut the door behind us, then stood there with both hands on his hips. "What?" I folded my arms. "You dragged me back here. He was touching you." I stared at him. He moved me out of the way. He could have used words. A laugh escaped me, sharp and disbelieving. "Are you jealous?" Logan looked toward the shelves. "No, that was fast. I am not jealous." "Then why are we hiding in a storage room?" His jaw tightened. For a moment, all I could hear was the music outside and the low hum of the refrigerator unit. Because I did not like it, he admitted. That is not the same thing. It sounds exactly the same. Logan stepped closer, then stopped himself again. He was always stopping now. You can talk to whoever you want. How generous. Caleb, no. You do not get to almost kiss me, avoid me for 3 days, and then act like I belong to you when somebody else shows interest. The words hung between us. Logan's face changed. Not anger. Something more exposed. I know. His voice dropped. I just do not know how to do this with Carter watching everything. Before I could answer, the door opened. Carter stood there, eyes moving from Logan to me, then to the small space between us. Do what? Neither of us spoke. Carter's expression hardened. Okay, he said slowly. Now I know I am not imagining it. Carter stayed in the doorway, waiting. Logan looked at me first, like the answer belonged to me. I hated that part of me wanted him to say it anyway. We were arguing, I managed. Carter gave a slow nod. In a storage room. It was private. That is usually what storage rooms are. His eyes moved to Logan. What is going on? Logan opened his mouth, then stopped. The hesitation told Carter more than any confession could have. His expression shifted from suspicion to something sharper. Protective. Caleb, can you give us a minute? No, the word came out before I thought about it. Both of them looked at me. I folded my arms tighter. I am not leaving so you can discuss me like I am not here. Carter exhaled through his nose. Fine. Then somebody start talking. Music thumped faintly through the wall. Outside, people were laughing, glasses clinking. The event continuing like the three of us were not standing in the middle of something that could change everything. Logan rubbed a hand over the back of his neck. I told Caleb something by accident. Carter's face tightened. What kind of something? The kind I meant to tell you first. Silence. Carter looked at me, then back at Logan. You like him? It was not a question. My stomach dropped anyway. Logan did not deny it. He stared at the floor for a second, then lifted his eyes to mine. Yeah. Hearing it, that clearly made my chest ache. Carter's jaw shifted. And does he know what he wants? Carter, I am asking. Logan took a small step forward. You are asking the wrong person. The room went quiet again. He looked at me, not my brother. I know what I want. My heartbeat kicked hard. Then why do you keep backing away? I did not mean for it to sound that raw. Logan's expression softened. Because I am scared I will mess this up. That is not the same as not wanting it. I know. He came closer, slowly, stopping just in front of me. Carter was still there. The door was still open. Anyone could have walked past. Logan did not seem to care anymore. That night in the kitchen, he continued, voice lower. I wanted you to hear me. Maybe not like that. But I did. My throat went tight. Logan reached for my hand, then paused, giving me room to pull away. I did not. His fingers closed around mine. Warm, careful, real. And the other day, he added, eyes fixed on me. When I almost kissed you, I did not want to stop. Carter shifted beside us, but Logan never looked away. I do not want to go back to normal, Caleb. My pulse raced under his thumb. I do not even think normal exists anymore. For the first time, I let myself believe him. Not completely, not safely, but enough to hold on. Carter looked at our hands and sighed. I am going to regret asking this, but are you two done hiding in here? Logan's mouth lifted slightly. Probably not. I laughed, nervous and breathless, and his grip tightened just a little. Then Carter pointed at him. We are talking later. Fair. Carter walked out, leaving the door open behind him. Logan waited until he was gone, then looked back at me. Do you want me to let go? I looked down at our hands. No, his shoulders relaxed for the first time all night. Good, he murmured. Because I did not want you to leave. For about 10 minutes after Carter left the storage room, everything felt strangely simple. Logan kept holding my hand. I kept letting him. Neither of us tried to explain it. Then the event pulled us back outside, and the second we stepped into the crowd, he let go. I told myself it was practical. People needed him. Carter was watching. The bar was packed. But the empty space beside my hand stayed with me for the rest of the night. Logan barely came near me after that. He worked behind the counter, answered questions, smiled at donors, and acted like we had not just admitted something real in a room full of soda boxes. Every time our eyes met, he looked away first. By the time the last guests left, I had almost convinced myself he regretted it. Dylan helped stack chairs near the front. You okay? He glanced toward Logan, then back at me. You look like somebody canceled your birthday. I am fine. Sure. He lifted a chair onto a table. For what it is worth, the bartender has been watching you all night. My stomach tightened. He watches everyone. It is his job. Dylan gave me a look that made it clear he did not believe me. Before I could answer, Carter called me from the hallway near the office. He stood with his arms crossed, tired and serious. I talked to Logan. My chest went cold. About what? You. That one word was enough. Carter looked back toward the bar to make sure Logan could not hear us. He likes you. I believe that. But he is not ready for people to know. I stared at him. Did he say that? Carter hesitated. It was brief, but I caught it. He said he is still figuring things out. The noise around us faded. I could see Logan through the doorway, wiping down the counter with his head lowered. So, I am an experiment. I did not say that. You did not have to. Carter reached for my shoulder, but I stepped back. Caleb, listen to me. I am not trying to ruin this. You are doing a pretty good job. I grabbed my jacket from the office chair and walked out before he could stop me. Logan noticed immediately. You are leaving? It is late. He moved around the end of the bar. I thought we were going to talk. About what? My voice came out flatter than I meant it to. He slowed when he saw my face. What happened? Nothing. I just think we should forget the storage room. Logan went completely still. You do not mean that. You wanted private. I understand. Caleb, I am not going to be something you only want when nobody is looking. The words landed harder than I expected. Logan's expression changed, hurt flashing across it before he covered it. That is not what this is. Then what is it? He looked past me toward Carter, who had followed us into the room. That glance was all it took. I thought I had my answer. I turned for the door. Logan caught my wrist, then released it almost immediately, like even that might prove my point. You are the only part one am sure about, he said quietly. I stopped, but I did not turn around. Behind me, his voice shook just enough to make my chest ache. It is everything else that scares me. I made it halfway across the parking lot before Logan called my name. Not Carter's. Mine. I kept walking. Caleb. His footsteps got closer. Please. That stopped me. Rain had started, light enough to ignore, cold enough to feel through my jacket. I turned around. Logan stood a few feet away, breathing hard like he had run farther than 20 yards. For a second, neither of us spoke. Cars passed behind him. Music from the bar leaked through the walls. Everything else felt far away. What do you want me to say? I asked. Logan looked down, then back at me. The truth. That would be new. He flinched. I hated that I noticed. I am not ashamed of you. You keep looking over your shoulder every time you touch me. Because Carter is my friend. That is not the same thing. I know. He stepped closer, careful this time. And because I have never done this before. I folded my arms, mostly to keep my hands still. Done what? Logan gave me a tired look. Wanted someone enough to be scared of getting it wrong. My chest tightened, but I did not let him see how much. You could have told me that. I tried. No. You gave me half sentences, and then disappeared into work. He looked toward the bar, jaw tense. I thought slowing down would make it less messy. It made me feel like a mistake. The words came out quieter than I meant them to. Logan's face changed. He moved closer again, leaving barely a foot between us. You are not a mistake. Then stop treating me like one. Silence. Rain tapped against the hood of a nearby car. Logan opened his hand between us, palm up, but did not reach for me. Carter asked if I was ready for everyone to know. And you said no. I said I did not know. That is not better. It is honest. I looked away. He waited. That was the thing about Logan. When he was nervous, he filled the room with silence instead of excuses. I am scared, he said finally. Not of you. Not of this. His fingers curled slightly, still waiting. I am scared that once people know, I will not get to figure it out quietly. I am scared I will make you carry that with me. I swallowed. I do not need you to have everything figured out. I know, but I need to know you are choosing me. His eyes held mine. No joke. No escape. I am. My heart started pounding. Logan took one more step. Caleb. The way he said my name felt different now. Certain. That night in the kitchen, I thought I was talking to Carter because I was afraid. But I was talking about you because it has always been you. My throat went dry. How do I know you are not confusing me with him again? Logan's expression softened. Carter taps his fingers when he is impatient. You pull your sleeves down when you are overwhelmed. He drinks his coffee cold. You burn your mouth every morning because you refuse to wait. I almost smiled. Almost. Logan's hand stayed open between us. I know who I am looking at. I stared at his palm for a long second, then placed my hand in his. His fingers closed slowly around mine. I am not ready to be hidden, I whispered. I know. His thumb brushed across my knuckles. Then do not hide me. Logan nodded once. Okay. He leaned closer, then stopped before our foreheads touched. Can I? My pulse jumped. I did not answer right away. For once, he waited. I looked at him for another second, then squeezed his hand. Not here. Logan blinked. I nodded toward the bar. Inside. Something in his face softened. Not relief exactly. More like he understood what I was asking. He did not let go. We walked back across the parking lot together, our hands between us, visible under the yellow light above the door. My heart was pounding hard enough to make every step feel louder than it was. The bar had mostly emptied out. Carter stood near the counter with a trash bag in one hand, clearly waiting to see whether I had left. His eyes dropped to our hands. Then he looked at me. You okay? Yeah. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Logan tightened his fingers around mine, just once. Carter noticed. Of course he did. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Carter sighed and tossed the trash bag onto a chair. Good. Because I am too tired to fight either of you tonight. Logan let out a nervous laugh. Fair. Carter pointed at him. I still do not trust your judgment. Also fair. And if you hurt him, Mom will somehow find out before I do. That got a real laugh out of me. The tension broke just enough for me to breathe again. Dylan was still by the front door packing up his camera equipment. He glanced over, saw our hands, and gave me a small, knowing smile. No joke, no comment, just a nod before he left. Logan and I helped Carter finish cleaning. It was ordinary work. Wiping tables, stacking chairs, carrying empty boxes to the back. But everything felt different because Logan kept finding reasons to be near me. His shoulder brushed mine at the sink. He passed me a towel without looking away. Once, when Carter turned his back, Logan smiled like he still could not believe I was there. I knew the feeling. When we finally stepped outside again, the rain had stopped. Carter went ahead to unlock his car, leaving us beside mine. Logan still had not released my hand. So, he murmured, does this count as a first date? I looked around the empty parking lot. We cleaned a bar with my brother. Very romantic. You almost got interrogated. Still better than most dates I have had. I smiled. Logan moved a little closer, but not enough to crowd me. Can I ask again? My pulse jumped, though this time I did not feel trapped by it. You can. Can I kiss you? I let the silence sit there for a second, mostly because he deserved to be nervous. Then I nodded. You are asking the right brother this time. Logan laughed under his breath, and the sound was warm and shaky. He touched my face carefully, giving me one last chance to pull away. I did not. The kiss was brief, soft, a little awkward, completely real. When we stepped apart, his forehead rested against mine for half a second. I knew it was you, he whispered. Eventually. I smiled. You are never living that down. I can live with that. 2 weeks later, we were back at Carter's apartment for Sunday football. Same couch, same noise, same people arguing over food. Someone I had never met walked in, glanced at me, and called me Carter. Before I could correct him, Logan rested a hand against my back. That is Caleb. He did not check my hair. He did not look for Carter's bracelet. He just knew. And for the first time in my life, being recognized felt a lot like being chosen.